Okay, let's go ahead. I have 12:01. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve agenda as written, presented by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. So is that a majority? I can't tell. I assume it is
That was unanimous.
unanimous. Okay.
Sounds unanimous.
The agenda is approved. What is the next item?
Just if there's any visitors or public comment period, we'll call for that now.
Right. Are there any visitors in the at the city hall? I mean, in the room?
None in person and none on Zoom. Go to the
Okay.
attendees real quick one more time. Just make sure.
Do it like at the beginning of the year if she's got time.
Okay. Being that there are no visitors, let's move forward to the next item.
The next item is new business, and it's the wastewater treatment plant
Right.
DAF equipment proposal.
All right. So new business. Ron, will you present the proposal? Or is it Matt? I'm not sure who's presenting. Staff will
I'm
present.
not sure if Matt or Chris is going to lead. Chris Bagato is our city engineer on this project, and he's in attendance as well in case there's questions, but I think Matt's going to start the presentation.
Yeah, I can go ahead and lead. Matt Etzel, Assistant Public Works Director. Before you is a staff report for the DAFT equipment. A couple months ago, council approved West Tech to start the final design on the wastewater treatment plant project. And one of the first major milestones was to put out an RFP for some of the major equipment, which included the SBR equipment and the DAFT equipment. We did that, and those bids closed last week. We've scored both of them, but we're first bringing to you the DAFT proposals. We had two bidders, Crofta and AWC, and those proposals are in your packet. Our engineer's estimate for the DAF equipment was around $900,000, and we had one proposal from Crofta that was $772,000 and some change, and then the AWC proposal, which was $1,700,000. Myself, Steve Osley, and Chris Briato all scored the proposals, and Crofta was the high score on the proposals. We've done some reference checks with other municipalities that have that system and the Crofta system, and there's been no like major red flags, I guess, that any of those other systems have said to us about it. And they asked a lot of questions to West Tech, during the proposal process, which we thought was good. They wanted clarification on stuff, whereas the other bidder didn't as much, and they just submitted a proposal. I know there's quite a swing in the prices between the two, but with the engineer's estimate being around 900 and the proposal coming in just below 800,000, we feel like they've submitted a complete proposal and they understand what we're looking for as far as the equipment package. And nothing was really left out of their proposal that leads us to believe that it's not complete. I'm not sure if Chris has anything else to add. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't have anything to add, Matt. This is Chris Bragato with West Tech Engineering. I think you pretty well summarized where we're at, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Do we have any idea of why the other one was so much higher?
No, the other one, we have no idea really. I suspect they're actually a Canadian company. And this project is subject to the Build America, Buy American Act. So I suspect a big chunk of that money was them having to do special things from a manufacturing perspective to comply with the Build American, Buy American Act. But I don't know that to be true. That's just what I would suspect.
Sounds reasonable.
I mean, they're both similar products. There's a few little proprietary differences between the two, but basically, just a quick explanation, it's adding air to the wastewater, which makes the stuff that we don't want in the wastewater float, and we remove that, and we take what hasn't floated, and we're going to mix that with the effluent off of the new SBR treatment system. So, I mean, they're very comparable. If you look at the diagrams and stuff, there's not a lot of differences between the two. They have like a chain flight. Both of them have a chain flight system. Both of them have a tank, chemical feed for polymer and flocculant. Uh, Both have air tank and add compressed air to the wastewater. So I mean, really, there's not a lot of differences between the two.
Yeah, and they're roughly the same size. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly why there's such a big discrepancy in the cost.
Matt, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
It looked to me as though you scored Crofta a little lower because of the cost to operate. Is there a big difference? I know it takes a while to get to $1 million in difference in cost, but is it more to operate with the Crofta than the other one, and why?
Sure, I can explain that. And based off of their proposals, the Crofta was about $150,000 a year to operate, and the AWC was about $120,000 a year to operate. So I based off that, I scored them a little bit lower, but as Chris and I and Steve talked about this, it was like, they maybe got a little bit different number from the polymer and chemical companies that they use. Those are items that we can shop around. We looked at the horsepower on the compressors and the sludge pump and the different pumps and motors that are on the unit, and they're identical almost in horsepower. So energy cost is going to be almost the same. Both of them had intervals of every 5 years there was a few components that needed to be replaced just due to ongoing maintenance, and those numbers look similar, but just based on their proposal, I did score them a little bit lower because they showed a little bit higher cost. But like I said, that could be a chemical cost calculation or just a small mix up. It wasn't a lot of money.
Very good. Thank you.
And we just score it based on, council, we just score it based on the application that's provided. And I think city engineer and staff will do a little bit of investigatory, but we kind of have to take them on face value when we're kind of doing the scoring, unless there's something glaring, I think.
Thank you, guys. It's clear you both put a lot of really good, solid, hard work and attention to detail in this. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions?
So Mayor, just one thing, I've been myself and Kirsty have been doing a lot of deep dive into ARPA, and it's kind of an elusive program. It's like nobody manages it, I guess, at the federal level, because you can't really get an answer out of anybody. But we've been working with our city attorney on some other aspects. And so we've made a proposed motion that's in your updated list, but I would ask to omit the words ARP, ASLFRA direct allocation. So in that motion, move to award the wastewater treatment plant DAF equipment to Crofta Technologies in the amount of 772,485 from the Sewer Improvement Fund 19, contingent on USDA approval as presented by staff. If the motion could read like that, that would be better, I think, for us, at least with the information we have at this moment in time.
Okay. So I hope someone took notes on that.
Basically, just take out those.
I did not, unless we could just say so moved what Ron just said, but I didn't write that down. And I don't have the latest one.
Pretty much. Yeah.
We good for motion? I move to award the wastewater treatment plant DAF equipment to Crofta Technologies in the amount of 772,485 from the Sewer Improvement Fund 19, contingent on USDA approval as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 So motion passes.
Okay, before we hang up, council, since I've got you here, I just want to tell you where we are in this process. So as you know, we have to have funds under contractual obligation by the 31st. We've tentatively asked you to block out the 30th, same time at 12. We may push that to the 31st. We need a quorum. But basically what we would be doing is we would be coming back with the signed contracts for approval. So this is the preliminary award, but we actually have to have contracts that are executed. In speaking with the city attorney under obligation, we do actually have to have a signed contract by both parties. That would be their definition of obligated. So we've contractually agreed to purchase goods and services, and we've committed to a monetary dollar amount. And so there's a process that has plagued us. And the reason why we're here at the last minute is because we've had to go through a lot of red tape in getting approvals. Part of this project requires each action that we take gets approval by USDA. And in some cases, we've had to send those approvals to Washington, D.C. to the federal level to get sign off. And that's kind of taken up some time. Keep in mind that it is a holiday week and a lot of people are gone. And so we are scrambling, working with our counterparts at the state USDA division. They've been really good to work with, but they're just fighting through the same red tape that we are. And that is, there's not an expert on BABA, there's not an expert on ARPA. Everybody's just trying to figure out what they're supposed to do, and that consumes a little bit more time. So what we have to do is we have to get USDA's approval on this award. That's why the motion was contingent USDA approval. We have to send out, Chris, jump in here if I say anything incorrect. We have to send out a notice to award, and that notice to award requires a 7-day protest period.
No, Ron, that's not correct.
Okay.
We have to send out a notice of intent to award, which we already have done. And yeah, the notice of intent. So
okay.
That in the notice of intent's written, it says, the city intends to award the project to Crofta subject to approval of the city council and approval of the funding agency. That was done on Tuesday. So a week from Tuesday, the project will be eligible for award pending approval from the funding agency.
Okay. So then what we're waiting for is we're waiting on approval from USDA for our contracts to execute. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so once we have those, what we have to do is we have to get the other parties to sign. And then it will come to you for approval to sign. But all of that has to happen by the 31st. So we're really pushing, we're rushing to do this. We hope that it happens. If it doesn't happen, you know, we'll just be in a position where we've got to regroup about the gap funding that would have been lost. Right now, I think it's about $700,000. Some of that we may need to be able to reallocate through our budget process, which is one of the reasons why I took those 4 words out of that motion. Probably not all of it. It's not going to be the end of the world, but just know we are working night and day to make this happen, but we are contingent on other parties. And they may not see it as critical as we see it. So is there anything else we want to inform the council, Matt and Chris?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I can't think of anything on the draft. Just a quick note that the SBR equipment was also part of this RFP, and Chris and I are working through those scoring and kind of some loose ends, and those will probably be brought to you shortly after the first of the year as well. And that's the major SBR equipment package that will be part of the project as well, and that'll help us continue to move the design forward.
Yeah, this was the easiest thing for us to get approval for and tie up that money. So that's why we're concentrating on this. The SBR equipment has some complications in it, and it's going to take a little bit more work to get that ready for contracts. So, all right. So please know that we may call on you. We'll let you know next week after Christmas exactly how we're looking, and you know, if we can do another noon meeting. This seemed to work out good for everybody. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. If there isn't anything else, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 12:18 p.m.